I'm Guntown Mike, and if you're watching this video, I'm hoping it means that you've got a copy of this that you're about to play. And I'm also guessing that you don't like reading rules, which is why you're here. But don't worry, I've got you covered. First thing you need to do, of course, is open the box. And this never gets old. So, once you've got the box folded out like so, the first thing you're going to see is this. The learning campaign, and this is going to teach you how to play the game in easy bite-sized chunks. But don't worry, if you don't want to read this even, I'm going to walk you through the opening stages of this learning campaign. And what that means is you don't ever have to read all the way through this rulebook. You can just use this rulebook as a glorified quick reference sheet. And anytime you need to find out anything about the rules, you just turn to the index on the back here, look up what you need to find it in there, and hopefully that'll give you all the information you need. But if it doesn't, always remember the golden rule. If in doubt, ask yourself this: what would happen if this was a movie? And interpret the rules that way. Because that's what this game's all about. It's all about living through a sci-fi monster movie. And I want you to have fun while you're doing it, not worry about whether you've got the rules right. But for now, all you need is this Learn to Play booklet. So turn to page 3 and start laying out the game according to the instructions on page 3. What you'll need is this, the Xeno data log, which you can just put to one side for the moment. You also need one player mat for every player of the game, which you just lay down in front of you like so. And every player should have a symbols quick reference sheet like this, which tells you what the symbols on your action cards mean. And once again, for the moment, you can put that to one side. You can refer to it whenever you need to. Then we just shift all of this across like so, and at the bottom of the box you'll find this, which is a plastic envelope which has the stickers for the inserts, which you don't need at the moment. You'll only need to add these stickers when you start learning about how to play with the vents later on in the learning campaign. So for the moment you can just put that to one side, and the only thing you need out of that is this large token bag, which you're going to take some of the tokens from, but not all of them. The next thing you need to do is find the cards. So find the cards that have got silver fronts with numbers 1 to 11. They also have cards SS 1 to 2 and CS 1 to 3. And also a couple of cards labelled agenda, like that. This is the ship deck, and you do not shuffle this deck. You simply place it with card number 1 at the top, counting down in the ship deck slot in the front corner of the board. Then find the cards that look like this, numbered 12 to 20, and these are the memory deck, and they go in the memory deck slot like so. And then finally find 9 cards that look like this with these backs, and these are your nasty action deck, which you should shuffle and place face down in the nasty action deck like so. Those are all the cards you need for the prologue, and now you can pick your crew. Now, I'm not going to bother running through all of the crew. All you really need to know is that whatever your favourite character is in any of these movies, there is a crew member that fits that bill somewhere. So just pick your favourite character and find the crew member that best fits that description. One of my favourites is Gomez from Aliens, and so I'm going to play Marina, a colonial marine who's hitched a lift on this ship and is starting to regret her life choices. Now, Marina is not a standard character from the deluxe game. She's an add-on, but you can play any of the crew that come with this game, except for Science Officer Kenny, for reasons that will become obvious. And every crew member basically has a deck of 9 action cards. And what you need to do is you need to find the 5 cards that have a P in the bottom left corner. These are your starting hand for the prologue. And you separate these out, put those in your hand, and then put the remaining cards face down to the right of your player mat. And so when you start the game, your player area will look like this, with your hand of cards, your discards face down on the right, and a space for your deck on the left. But you won't have any cards in your deck at the moment. Find the standee that matches your crew member, assemble it, and place it in the cryo chamber. So you can see her more easily from the top camera, I'm going to take the base off Marina and lay her flat on the board. Now you need to turn to page 5 and start reading the prologue. And what this will tell you is that you're in a race for the sickbay. You have to come out of the cryo chamber here, up through the changing rooms, through the crew quarters, through the crew corridor, into crew corridor 4, and then finally into the sickbay, where Science Officer Kenny will be waiting for you with her happy pills. Yippee! But of course it ain't that easy, because there's a whole bunch of nastiness in the way. First thing you need to do is close off the areas that the ship has locked down. So you basically lay a series of no entry markers into these spaces here to show that you can't go any further than the bottom half of this board. The ship has also locked down the entrance to the sickbay, and so you need to get a red door from the punch board and place it on the entrance to the sickbay like so. Then, from the punch board, you need to find tokens 1, 13 and 14. Pop them out and place them face down in the changing rooms. After that, find tokens 2, 3 and 4. You pop them out, you shuffle them up, and then you place them randomly in the crew quarters, crew corridor, and crew corridor 4, like so. And then finally you find token 16 and 17 on the punch board. You pop them out, and you place them face down in the crew quarters. And that is your full setup for the prologue. Now, I'm not going to play through the entire prologue here. I'm just going to walk you through enough to teach you how to play the game. And the first thing you need to know is that every full game turn, known as a cycle, is broken down into 3 phases. You have the crew action round, the noise round, and the nasty action round. But this prologue is only going to play through the crew action round. You have these cards in order to get through that door. And it's a race, basically, to get there. And the way you do this is you play a card face up into your discard pile like so, and if it's face up in your discard pile, you're using it to take actions and it's making noise. If the card has single icons in separate boxes like this, then you can play one of the icons or the other. You can't play both. If, on the other hand, the card has dual icons in the same box, you can play both of those actions in whatever order you like, and you don't have to play all of the actions. Now, some characters, like Fly Girl, have dual actions in double boxes like so, and in this case, you pick which of those sets of dual actions you want to take. You play the card face up into your discard pile and do what the icons say on the card. In this case, the first card I've played from Marina has got a pickup and a creep icon on it, which allows her to creep one room and pick up an icon, and she can do it whatever order she likes. So she's going to move into the room, doing the creep action first. She's going to turn over all of the tokens that are in that room. And in this case, she's revealed a crowbar and two memories. Think of these as things that have something's jogged her cryo-sleep-addled brain. And she's starting to remember how to move and fight, her combat training, or how to defend herself, to move and dodge. Now, in this case, Marina is not a full member of the crew, so she does not have the security codes needed to open that red door. However, if she picks up the crowbar, that gives her a tool to jimmy open the door. So she's going to discard the crowbar token using the pickup part of her action, and she's going to take the card, the crowbar card, into her play area and place it in her ready tools slot. And whilst a tool is in your ready tool slot, you're going to only have one tool in your ready tool slot, and you can play any action icons from your hand that match the action icons on the top left menu of the card, the little blue box, to do what the item says. And in this case, the crowbar can be used to break open any locked door. So she's got something that can now jimmy open that door. Now, if there were other players, the other players would take it in turn to play one card each, and then we would then come back to Marina. And Marina decides that since there are a lot of tokens floating around here, she's going to play another pick up and creep card. And she's going to move into the crew quarters, like so, and turn over these tokens. And in this case, she's revealed a little nasty, a bug, and two more memories. The little nasty gets placed in the active nasty area and is now active and able to interact with Marina. Not good. What she's turned over here is a memory of the ship's layout, so she can run fast through the ship, and also yet another memory of how to move and dodge. Definitely what's happening to her at the moment is triggering some self-defense memories. So it would be a good idea, I think, if she took the hint and basically picked up this dodge card, which basically allows her to take the dodge card out of the memory deck and take it into her hand like so. And she now has the ability to dodge if she plays that card. But Marina's an aggressive soul, so she's going to play a attack card, which allows her to use the fist icon on the card to attack the bug. And because she's using a fist icon, she can use the fist icon on her card to activate the crowbar to attack the bug. She's using the crowbar as a weapon to attack the bug with. And what she does is she draws the top card from the nasty action deck, and she uses it as a combat card, looking at the hitboxes. If she's using a weapon, which she is, she uses the top hitbox. If she was using her fists, she'd look at the bottom hitbox of the card. Red hits, blue misses. So you can see in this case, she's missed. That's a bit of a problem. The card goes into the discard pile, which is the starboard docking bay. And because she's missed, the bug gets to retaliate. To find out what the bug does, you can look it up in the Xeno data log. And the Xeno data log basically tells you that the bug will attack for 2 damage. And that is also listed on the bug's card. You can see a little fist icon there that has 2 spikes coming out of its fist. And that means that it does 2 damage. And what it does is it flips a nasty action card, and we look at the nasty action card. Because it's a little nasty, we look at the bottom hitbox of the card, and you can see that it's hit. Ouch. It is now doing 2 damage to Marina. But Marina at this point can opt to try to push her luck. She can draw another card from the nasty action deck, and look at the bottom hitbox because the bug's attacking. If it's blue, she will reduce the amount of damage she takes by 1, and she has the option to push her luck again. But if it's red, she takes an extra hit and she has to stop pushing her luck. So let's see what happens. She draws, she looks, it's blue. So she has reduced the damage by 1. But can you see the little blue R there? That means that the deck now has to be reshuffled and you can no longer push your luck. So we have to reshuffle the nasty action deck, reset all the cards, and Marina can't push her luck anymore. She must take 1 damage. And in this game, your cards are your wounds. So Marina has a choice. She can either lose any card from her hand or the top card of her deck or her discard. Now, to be honest, these cards in her hand are really good and I don't want to lose them. So she's going to lose the top card of her discard and she's going to take that card and she's going to slide it into the wound tracker there. And you can see that you can take 7 wounds. The 8th wound will kill you. Now, having taken that wound, Marina can take another turn, and this time round she decides that she's going to move and dodge because she basically needs to get to that door. And so she puts the dodge card into her active defense slot like so, and whilst it's in her active defense slot, it will go off if something hits her. So she moves into the corridor like so, revealing yet another little nasty, which pops up there, like so. And because she's moved out of the room, this nasty notices her and goes for her as she leaves the room. So every time you leave a room, if you do not creep out of the room, the nasty in the room will attack you as you leave. And so this nasty flips a nasty action card. It's a hit, so she would take more damage, but she's got a dodge up, so she can discard that dodge to completely ignore that hit. That's the way that dodge works. You basically have to have it in your active defense, and when you do, you can discard it to ignore any one hit. At this point, Marina now has 2 cards left to get to this door and open it, which looks like a bit of an impossible ask, but she's got an ace up her sleeve. And that ace is this. This is the batteries card. And you can discard this card to take back a number of cards from your discard pile equals the number of batteries on the card. So she can place that card into her discard pile like so and select 2 cards to take back. And they can be any 2 cards from her discard pile, including any that are face down. The batteries card goes face up onto her discard pile and its noise takes the place of the cards that you've taken back into your hand. At this point, I'm going to stop. You now know enough to complete the prologue and then play on from there. The one thing you should remember is that Marina needs to get through that red door, and at the moment she can do it either by using an attack action to use the crowbar to break the door down, or at any point when you need an icon and you don't have it in your hand, you can play 2 cards face down into your discard pile, take a spare noise card that matches the colour of the action that you have decided to use, and in this case it would be that, which is a yellow action, the unlock action, to do whatever action you need, as long as it's not a defense. So that's it. That is everything you need to know to be able to play through the first prologue of Pandora Celeste. If you have played through that and you want a tutorial that tells you how to set up and the key things you need to know for the next scenario on in the learning campaign, then I've got a video for that. But otherwise, have fun, and I hope you enjoy playing the game. Thanks for watching.